개발자 TV.
Hello everybody, I'm happy to introduce you today to a geolocation tutorial making Airbnb clone with adalo. And I'm Barrett Nash, I'm managing partnerships with adalo. I made this course because I believe that geolocation in adalo is amazing. And I think that it's so much easier than many people expect to be able to use. So I wanted to create the easiest possible follow along and build course that shows the power of geolocation in adalo, that shows how easy it is to set up geolocation in adalo, and have some additional fun with horizontal lists, which kind of fit with the Airbnb clone, and also just exhibit in general what building in adalo is like with the geolocation component. I think this is a course that is great for beginners, but also I feel like many adalo users who are skilled are maybe like a little bit scared of geolocation from things like getting API keys. So trying to demystify this, make it as easy as possible, and show examples of how geolocation can be used in ways that can go far beyond just an Airbnb clone to anything where your user's location can be important. Okay, let's get going. Let's make this in the frame. Okay, so this is app.adalo.com. We're going to go blank so that we can start fresh. We'll call this, what is our good name? Adalo BNB. What a wonderful name. And we'll call this V3. This is the third time I've done this. I'm doing this in my personal team so that I don't show any secret new features. And let's create it. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is actually put in our Google Maps API key. You do it here under settings. You'll see it's empty. There's these steps here to help get it. It's actually not that hard to get an API key. Like, I thought it would be way harder than it is. And Google actually gives you $300 of free credits. Like, it's like you just get it. So I'd highly recommend just taking the time to set up an API key, playing around with it, do a $300 limit, and you're off pretty fast actually. Now I did something clever and saved my API key here. Your API key is secret, so please don't share it with anyone. And you just add it, save it, and we are off to the races. Wonderful. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to set up the database. No, thank you. So we can start with users. We're going to have the email, that's correct. Password, that's correct. Username, that's correct. Full name, that's correct. It's nice having these pre-existing things for signing up. Then we'll do one called, that's going to be a location field called search location. So this is going to be saving, when you want to search somewhere, it'll save where you're searching for. So it'll be either you select a location and it saves to this, or you can grab your existing location. And that's actually all we're going to have here for now. Now we'll do another collection, which will be listings. Let me change this here actually to say listings, because listings is better. Okay, so listings, and this will be the title. Remember, this is super minimal, so like this is not going to be a full Airbnb listing. The location of the listing, and then the user who it was created by. So this will be a relationship to users, and a user can have multiple listings. A listing belongs to one user. We'll call this created by, then we'll go to users, and yeah, listings is great. Then we'll do a final collection called photos. And what this is going to be is the photos linked to the listing. And since you want to have multiple, you're not sure how many photos you're going to have, it should be its own collection. And this will have, instead of name, we'll call this description. Oops. If I could type, that would be easier. A description. This will be an image, the image associated with the photo of the listing. So we can just call it image. And then the home, the listing it belongs to. So a listing can have multiple photos. A photo belongs to one listing. Exactly that. And we'll call this, yeah, that's good, listing and photos. Now I think we might be forgetting, are we forgetting one up here? Listings, no, that looks terrific. Okay, we've got our database set up, wonderful. Okay, so what we're first going to do is we're going to create, we're going to set up the add a new listings. And we're going to set it so that the final step is actually the setting up the home screen so that we can input things into our database first. So what we'll do is we'll first create a button at the bottom of the home screen that allows us to go to the add a listing screen. So we're going to do this with a button, which we'll call as add a listing. But when we're on something like this, usually it's nice to, since there's nothing behind this, it'll be, things will float behind it. So it's good to put a rectangle behind it. Make it look right. We can send it to the back and make it white to fit in. Then what we can do is we can link these together, make a group, and we'll edit the styles and have it sticky on the bottom so that it stays to the bottom. And then we'll have the button itself. It's going to have an action where it's going to link to a new screen. We'll have it grab with the app bar just to save us time with some basic elements. And we'll call this add listing. And we'll make the transition slide left. I kind of like that vibe. Okay. We now have the add listing screen. We can leave these for how things are. And what we're going to do is we're now going to bring out a form component to be able to input the information for the listing. So the form component is going to be grabbing, creating a listing, and it's just going to be, yes, enter the title, enter the location. Is that correct? Let me just take a look at my, oh, the automatic field should be created by, yeah, that's looking correct. And then what we actually want is to change things a little bit on the submit button so that it's not just creating a listing from this, but it's linking to a new screen, which we'll call add photos. We'll also do this with the app bar. We'll also do this with a transition of slide left. And here we're going to go a little bit more fancy. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that you can visualize at the top the photos you've seen and be able to delete them as well if you don't want them, so that you're able to kind of like manage your listings you're going. So what we'll do is we're going to grab an avatar list component, which is one of my favorite looking components. It's really fun to play with. Now this is going to be a list of photos. It's going to be current listing photos. What we'll have is a add action. It's going to delete the current photo, and then we'll change this text here to be delete. Okay, and then we're only going to show this sometimes visible, and will be visible if the current listings photos count is greater than 0. Wonderful. And then just to deal with the realities of some formatting issues in Adalo, when this has disappeared, it pushes everything up. So I'm actually going to push a white rectangle under this with the opposite rules for well, here I can share with you and you can see what it will do. Well, I guess I can't actually do it without doing it. Like what it'll do is it'll push everything up, which we don't want. So we're going to use the white rectangle just to kind of like push things down and only appear when this avatar list isn't showing. So that's fine. So we'll make this change of visibility to be sometimes visible, and be visible if the current listing's photos count is equal to empty. Sure, sometimes it's equal to 0 is more stable, but let's see how this works, and we'll leave this as white. Great. Now that should work. And then what we'll do now is we'll add a form to add the photos. Which data collection? So this will be photos. What this is going to do is maybe we'll extend this a little bit to give us a bit more space. I'm feeling a little bit cramped, and I hate feeling cramped in adalo. And so, for example, this should be behind the rectangle. That looks good. So it's creating the photo. That's fine. With the description, maybe we should have it be doing the photo first. I feel like that's like a little bit more natural to what you'd expect. It's going to create the photo. It's going to set it to the current listing. And that's all good, but now we need a new button of done. What did I actually call this in here? Done. Wonderful. And what we'll do is we'll have it link to the home, and we'll have it have no transition. Okay, maybe we can test this flow out and see what it looks like. Sure, we can use this. Sign up. Okay, let's add a listing. Let's call it wonderful, oh, if I could again spell, wonderful house. And let's choose, let's see if we can grab our current location. Oh, it's grabbing it nicely for me. Wonderful. Let's create the listing. Now, there's a mistake here where that bar should be pushing down. So I wonder if the issue is that I did sometimes visible as equal to empty, or maybe I'll do is greater than 0 and see if that solves. Because you see I was pushing things up, which we don't want, right? Wonderful. Who would have thought? Okay, so let's add, oh, this is not the correct one, so let's call it listing 2. And we'll do location. Let's try it in Beirut. Wonderful. Okay, this is still annoying me. Maybe we need to be pushing all these things down a little bit. But we can add some photos here so we're not wasting this time. Sure, we'll do a nice deck. And we should now have things pushed down nicely for us. Yes, you see, so we could delete that. And we'll have another picture of with jacuzzi. I'm not even guess if I'm spelling jacuzzi right. Okay, great, that's looking correct. So now nothing's happened because we haven't set this up yet, but we can look at our database and just make sure things are being entered correctly. So we're seeing a user, that's me, with 2 listings associated. That's correct because I made 2 and didn't add anything to 1. Then what we'll have is a listing. We'll have 2, listing 2, and we see that 2 photos are associated, looking pretty good. Okay, now I think what we're ready to do is set up the home list. So what we're going to do is first extend the size a bit so we have some breathing space here. And then what we'll do is we'll put our elements in for the listings. So we'll have up here at the top, we'll have it be the listing description. Then what we'll have below it is a, what type of list is this? Horizontal card list, which will be where we can see the pictures of the listing. Maybe I'll send this to the back in a moment. Then below it we'll have text, which will be the distance from where the user is. Let's shrink this to leave us space here for a button, which will have being linked to the map so you can see the exact location. Okay, that looks good. Now what we'll do is this magic trick that is one of my favorite things, that we can just make anything into a list. And that looks good. Now what is this going to be a list of? This is going to be a list of listings. We're going to have it be all listings. The sorting is going to be location closest to farthest, and sort in relation to the logged in user's search location. So what we'll do after this is we'll put a bar at the top. This is why I've left this white space, where the user will actually set that. So they'll choose a location that'll be their like kind of search location, and then it'll organize all the listings as distance from that. And we could do some things like, say, like we could do like a maximum number of items, or we could do like a filter, for example, where we could say that the location, say full address, is like a certain distance away. Like we could put in more functionality, but this is okay for now. This is kind of like roughly what we want, because we're not going to have that many listings. We just want to see what the closeness is. So now let's set this up. So this is going to be listings, and it's going to be all listings, and we're going to limit it to where the photos count is greater than 0, so that we don't show listings without pictures, because that's kind of like a bad user interface. Location is closest to farthest. Sort in relation to logged in user. And I guess we'd have a maximum number of items of, say, being 20, just in case we start getting overwhelmed. But that's not something that we necessarily have to do. Okay, that looks good. Let's set this first text spec off. We'll use magic text, which allows us to grab text from the database. So we want the current listings title. Then here, we want this to be a list of photos, but it's not all photos. It's the current listings photos. And what we'll do is, fine, the sorting can be as it will be. We'll have no click actions. We'll have there be a image overlay with no subtitle. And then the title can be, yeah, that was actually the correct one, the photo description. And that's looking pretty good. Maybe we could take some of these things off, like the top right icon, for example. That's looking okay. Okay, now let's do a slightly tricky one. This is going to be distance from the listing to the user's requested search area. So like, say you're 5 kilometers away, that's what we'd like to have here. So what we'll first do is we're going to put in a new formula. In this formula, we're going to start with a function of round, so that it doesn't create like this like long like 0.000572 number. And then we're going to have some fun with these functions for distance, which look a little bit tricky, but they're actually pretty easy. I'm a Canadian, so I'm going to use kilometers, because the metric system kind of makes sense, right? But it doesn't make a difference. And then what we're going to do is do the current listings latitude, comma, the current listings longitude, comma, the logged in user's search location latitude, comma, the logged in user's search location longitude, paragraph or bracket end, it's green, should work, looks good. If I could click OK, I would hope. Is that going to work for me? Perfect. And then we'll say, so this will be kilometers away. Great. And then we're going to do a brief little fun thing. I'm not sure I'm going to do this yet from a data privacy perspective, because I got to move my APN key around. But let's try this. So we're going to rename this and call it a view on map. We'll get rid of this icon to give us a bit more space. We're going to have an add action link to a new screen. Let's call view listing on map. we'll have it be a modal. We're going to get rid of this text. We're going to make this a bit more space efficient for what we're showing. We'll call this close. Once I get it fit, that looks good. It should go back. And then we'll put on this map component. It might be in your marketplace, so if you don't have it yet, it will be in the marketplace with many amazing components. So this is just the. So what we're going to do here is make it so that you can see exactly on the map where this location is. So we can grab this, push this out, format it. I think that looks roughly okay. Maybe we'll. Now here you actually have to put your Google API key right onto this. I don't want to share my Google API key because while I like everybody, it's not mine to share. So let me just see if I can kind of do something smart here. Okay, so we've added our API key to the map. Now we can add the marker, which will be the location of the app, of the listing. So current listings, location, full address. Perfect, that looks good. And now I think we're pretty close to being done. What we need to do is allow you to choose the location you're searching for. So what we'll do is on the home screen now, we'll choose a location input. We'll make it a bit short so we can have space for an icon. This we don't actually need to touch. It's just where you'll actually be able to choose your current location or search a location. Now what we'll do is we'll grab a button. The button will be an icon. We'll make it a bit bigger. And this is going to be like a search. So we don't actually set the search, the criteria of where it gets saved to the user until they actually do an action clicking save. So what the user will do is they'll search for location, then they'll click this search button, and it will update the logged in user for this field we made, search location, and we're going to do it for this component we just put, location input. Okay, let's see what this is looking like. Okay, good start. Now we need to have a few, oh no, the kilometers away. Oh, because it's, maybe because it's the exactly where I am. Let's add another listing and see what happens. So let's try this as being at our New York listing. And we'll put it in New York. Sure. Okay, and let's add some pictures. My box isn't doing what it should be. I can look at that in a second. I wonder why. Does this look like New York? Exactly. Do we have anything better here? Sure, we can do my little hometown. Not quite New York, but close enough. Oops, I need to add a description. Okay, it's required. Manhattan. Now I wonder why that isn't working, but it's really not an important part of this demo, so I'll just let it be instead of fixating on it and spoiling your time. But for sure, there's bothering me that it's not pushing down as I would expect it to. That's okay. It's an easy thing to fix, I'm sure, if I wanted to fix it. Okay, wonderful. So now let's do done, and let's see. So this kilometers away isn't working. That is an issue. So let's find out. So for one, it is cool that we're seeing this. And let's see if we were to say that we were taking a look at the map. Where was this? This was Beirut. So let's see if we put ourselves as, say, in Beirut. Will it reorganize these to be better? Yes, it did, actually. And 0 kilometers away, 9,036 kilometers away. So it was not showing the distance because we hadn't had that set up, which I guess makes sense. We could maybe have some filter for that. So I think this is actually now working. Okay, let's fix this box because it's driving me nuts. Now, what are you doing? Sometimes visible, it should only be visible if it is equal to empty. That's probably where the issue is. Okay, let's do this and try another, and then let's actually have this only show up if the logged in user's search location full address is not equal to empty. Let's just do a few quality of niceness things here because we should at least show we can do what we want. So 0 kilometers away, 9,036. Let's see if we update this, if that goes away. It does make that go away, and the view on map extend. That's okay. Let's try doing another listing. Let's do Paris is great. Let's have this be in Paris. Wonderful. Let's create the listing. My box is not doing what I want it to do. It's driving me nuts. Okay, let me not waste your time. I think it's getting pretty close. I just need to extend it. You can see it's down from before, so I just need to make it longer. Do I have any pictures I can use for Paris? Oh, yes, exactly. The Champs LSA. Let's try doing a few more photos just to see how it looks with the extension. Oh, and I got some good ones of this house. Louvre. Eiffel. Sure. Okay. And that's good for now. Should we delete one to test delete? Let's delete it. Wonderful. It goes away. Let's add it again because we're trying to do this. Arg. Let's add a few more just because I'm curious how the horizontal scroll is going to look. Test scroll. And let's say if we're actually in Paris, let's say in Beirut, then it should be the ordering of first, oh, and click this search. So listing 2, that was Beirut. Paris is great, 3,000 kilometers. New York, cool. So you can see how you can start filtering this and adding things. I think that is a good tutorial of our little Airbnb. Want to indulge me for a second and let's see if we make this a little bit bigger, if it'll solve that issue. Is this going to ruin my timing? Okay, okay, okay. And look, it fits. Oh wait, no, not the right one. Test fit. Let's try this for Auckland. Let's get something on the far side of the world. Wonderful, thank you. Okay, it fits now. Good job, Auckland. Okay, thank you guys. This was like a pleasure teaching. I hope this was useful, and I think it's like quite cool that we now have a reasonably functioning, quite attractive Airbnb that you could see how you could flesh out from here to be completely more functional. Thank you guys for your time. It was a pleasure.
Thank you guys for going through this short geolocation tutorial making an Airbnb clone with adalo. I hope you found it helpful. I know I had a lot of pleasure making it. Obviously, this is a super stripped down, simple, minimalist Airbnb that actually wouldn't be functional as anything beyond like a demo of geolocation and some basic adalo features. But I think actually like this is like a pretty solid core if you wanted to begin building more advanced functionality on top of this. Some ideas of next steps might be to create more fleshed out profiles, ability to edit listings, allow for searching by dates, ability to book listings, allow for searching by availability, creating filters for bookings, creating an admin management for host, creating an admin backend, and maybe adding some more functionality than things you can find on the adalo App Academy. All these things are possible from within adalo, and I think that there's nothing stopping you from transforming this template clone into a full functioning Airbnb if you wanted to, or something completely different using these lessons learned. It was a pleasure getting a chance to share some of the exciting functionalities of geolocation with you, and I hope that now geolocation is something that you feel free and confident in putting into your adalo applications.